Best days of summer, well, that's when this was supposed to be filmed, but because I had a Battleship reunion to go to, if you guys didn't see that on my main channel, the 30th Battleship reunion is a must watch video, because we went to Uvalde after the reunion. We drove all the way down to Uvalde, and I was in tears the whole time. It's so, woman, we have to do something about gun violence that's never been done. You know, it's Republicans are they're never gonna act to it. You know, the A has way too much power. And like I said before, just to paraphrase some of the Uvalde stuff when I was going through the murals, you know, by common sense gun reform things. Common sense stop. You know, Biden did pass something in 2023 after the shootings, and it was one of the biggest gun reform bills that was passed since Reagan, and it closed some of the loopholes of domestic violence, the boyfriend loophole, so they can be treated, you know, so the charge is charged like a husband, right? So, you know, they closed some of that loopholes, and they expanded the waiting period for getting firearms. But come on, people. There's a lot more that needs to be done than that, you know. We enact the assault weapons ban. That's the number one thing. Well regulate. Close those gun show loopholes and well regulate. You know, put it across the board. Everybody has to be trained, licensed, everything that owns a firearm. Well regulate. You have to be licensed to own a firearm. You should be, because you have to be licensed to drive a car. You have to have you have to show your license to be 21 above to have a beer at a bar. I mean, come on. The firearms, you can walk in a gun show and just buy stuff. So yeah, and ghost gun kits. You know, the manufacturer of ghost gun kits. Common sense stinks, right? Common sense stinks. Right. That's just a little paraphrase in some of the stuff I was talking about. You know, more that needs to be done. You know, more that needs to be done. Because firearms is the number one killer of children. Mass shootings, school shootings are the number one killer of children. Not cancer, not newborn illnesses, not autism or whatever. All this crap that Health Secretary piece of crap Kennedy. I don't even want to get into that one right now, okay? So more has to be done. More has to be done. So I implore you to watch at least that part of my of my 2-hour reunion video, at least that part. It's broken down so it's easy to find. And so just put some footnotes here. What's happening? What's been happening since the last two talks? Way too much. But let's just go on with some of the biggest things right now. First they banned Jimmy Kimmel, now he's back on. You know. But you ban free speech and you control the media, the radio, the press, like Trump was trying to do. That's the first sign of a fascist dictatorship. So you know this country is in a fascist dictatorship. You know that Trump is one of the most evil dictator presidents we have ever had in this nation. In fact, he's the worst president we have ever had in this nation twice. And I put here, what the fuck? WTF. Right? And Trump is making a mockery. He's making a mockery of us at the last UN assembly. I don't know how they get these things done. You guys, your countries are hellholes and shitholes and blah, 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 things, that and the other. That's not how you lead. That's not how you lead. And he's saying this crap. And he wants us to follow his lead of breaking the Constitution, of the US Constitution, with all the laws that he's been breaking, these mass deportations of a civil crime. Crossing the border illegally is a civil crime. It's a civil fine. It's not a federal crime. We have a lot more important things with the gun violence issue in America than this crap order that he's doing. And putting a National Guard in cities, scaring people. I mean, he says he doesn't know the first thing about the Constitution of the United States of America. And like I said before, I follow my constitutional oath, the oath that I took twice. Once as an enlisted man and once as an officer, not an active duty officer, but non-active duty officer. But the oath that I took twice. Countries are laughing at us. He's a clown. He's a baby. He can't handle any criticism. If you criticize Trump or if you don't bend your knee and bow to King Trump, then he finds a way to try to fire you. Going after his political enemies, people that persecuted him for his actual crimes. I don't know what people are thinking, but I think inciting an insurrectionist attack on our capital is a very, very serious thing. And I don't think that anybody that did something like that should be back in that capital running this country down the drain. Yeah, I was talking about Holman breaking the law. This is the thing that's really upsetting me right now. Since he can't find any good that he is doing, because everything he's doing is bad for this country. It's breaking this country. It's tariffs are breaking this country. I talked about tariffs in the last two-talk video. It's breaking this country. So since he can't find anything good, he's doing another thing out of a dictator's playbook and taking credit for Biden's things, particularly Biden's bipartisan infrastructure bill. Oh yeah, that was some good thing. They said some of the good things Biden did. Now I'm going to take credit for them. Man, the man is evil. And I don't want to talk about Charlie Kirk. I have a lot of mixed feelings on that man. I might say something on this video that YouTube won't like. All right. Break. 1, 2, 3. Just press my face before I get on to holidays are from Pagan Roots. That's today's video. Holidays are from Pagan Roots. Special base. Got a new trimmer. The trimmer we accidentally left in Texas somehow. I don't know how we did that. We went to the room like a fine-tooth comb before we left the room. They had to have been buried underneath the towels or something, or behind something, since it is a black razor. But I had to buy a new one. It's not as good as my old one, but it's decent. I don't know. I was just, but nice and trimmed up. Wanted to be trimmed up. And there we go. Holidays are from Pagan Roots. That's right. All of our holidays, we call them Christian holidays. I'm going to talk about the few of the main ones. I'm going to talk about Christmas, Halloween, and Easter. Yes, you wouldn't even think Easter's a thing from Pagan Roots, but yes, it is. Christmas, Halloween, and Easter are the ones I'm going to talk about, and how they all got the pagan influences of these three holidays. Christmas. Christmas is actually derived from the feast day of Saturnalia. It's the way when the Roman pagans first introduced Saturnalia, a week-long period of harvest and lawlessness, celebrated between December 17th to the 25th. Okay. It was the feast day of harvest. Celebrating the end of the year and having a great bountiful harvest for the next year. Okay? In the 4th century, Christianity pretty much imported Saturnalia, the festival, in hopes to take and convert the Roman pagans into Christians. Okay? Christian leaders did succeed in converting large numbers of them. The problem was that there was nothing really Christian about Saturnalia. So to remedy this situation, Christian leaders named Saturnalia's concluding day, December 25th, as Jesus' birthday. That's right, Jesus was not born on December 25th. Shocker, huh? Yeah, well, it wasn't a shocker to me because I studied theology, so. Popular myth puts Jesus' birthday in December 25th, 1 CE, but that is not, that's not accurate at all. I'll tell you why it's not accurate. And this is, you got Exiguanus. I can't pronounce these names, right? Anyway, a Sicilian monk wrote the modern day calendar, right? The Julian calendar. And he really had no idea when Jesus was born, right? In fact, the year that he put as Jesus' birthday, 733 on the Roman calendar, doesn't even match. And I'll tell you why. Because it is 4 years after the time of Herod. And we know that Jesus was crucified, according to the Bible, during the time of Herod. So Jesus could not have been born after the time of Herod. Doesn't add up at all, does it? However, early Christians did not celebrate birthdays. They didn't celebrate birthdays like we do, right? But if they did, they would have celebrated Jesus' birthday in the July time frame, because that's most likely the time frame he was born. Alright? The decorating of trees was a pagan tradition during Saturnalia, along with the Yule log and the sacrifices of the lambs. I will tell you about the Christmas story in another video. In fact, that's going to be a two talk I'm going to do again. And I'm going to talk about the Christmas story and how we get the Saturnalia blended into modern day Christmas. We can see some of the things that we do celebrate, decorating the tree and all that stuff. And I'll talk about St. Nicholas. It was from Turkey, and I believe 4 CE. And I'll talk about things like that in the next, in another truth talk, okay? You can see how Christmas is really deep-rooted into paganism. The whole holiday of Christmas is all based on a pagan celebration. All right. It's not going to be a really long video, all right? Halloween. Of course, it's known as All Hallows Eve. It's a pagan holiday to honor the dead. In ancient Britain and Ireland, the Celtic festival of Samhain was observed on October 31st. Ireland is the only place in the world that I found in my research where Halloween is actually a national holiday, right? It's celebrated with a with fireworks, and children are given a week off from school. That sounds fun. Halloween is my favorite pagan holiday. Some places, tonight is Beggars Night, trick-or-treating. And when we go out on October 31st, some places they call that night Beggars Night, okay? And it matches with an old tradition, okay? See, when we go out, and our children go out and they trick-or-treat, they go trick-or-treat and they get a piece of candy or whatnot, maybe a little toy or whatnot, right? But during Beggars Night, in the late medieval time, it was called souling. It wasn't called trick-or-treating, it was called souling, all right? Poor folk from a village would go out and they would go door to door on the day known as Hollow Mass, which is November 1st. And they would receive food in exchange for prayers for their dead loved ones, okay? Now that's pretty cool. It's a whole different concept than we do today. And these prayers were carried on to the Day of the Dead, the day to honor the dead, which was All Souls Day, the Day of the Dead. That's a Hispanic tradition. I'll talk about that when I do actual Halloween video, right? So All Souls Day is November 2nd. So the Hollow Mass, they would go out, and then on the 2nd they would go and they would visit their family graves. Now this is the kicker here. The Samhain Festival, that's what I'm getting to right now. Ancient Celtic festival of Samhain was celebrated in Gaelic Ireland to mark the beginning of winter, and an animal, most likely a goat, was sacrificed for a good harvest. Sounds familiar? Just accept another, right? They would dance around a bonfire in costumes and masks to ward off the evil spirits. Then, gotta remember something. Some of the first immigrants of this country were the Irish. And they were coming here. They were given a choice to fight. Many of them were given a choice to fight in the Civil War. In exchange for becoming citizens of our country. But with them, they would bring these Gaelic Irish traditions, like Halloween, like wearing masks on particular days, of going out souling, of giving food to the poor people. These type of traditions we carry on today. Now we got our modern day Halloween. And I'm going to do a Halloween video too. I don't think I did one, but I'm going to do an actual Halloween video. Talk about this in more detail. Actually, I think I have one on my children's I'm teaching though. Yeah. Now, Easter. this is going to be a break because I forgot to bring my Bible in the room. And there's a Bible verse I wanted to do. Actually, on my Halloween quotes here, there's a Bible verse. And I'm going to get back to doing some of these quotes that I have here. And then my Bible verses, then Easter, and I'm going to be reading some of the Bible on that one. So I'll be back. I'm back. Got my Bible. I got my pages marked. All right. Halloween quotes. I want to do some Halloween quotes. Halloween is my favorite pagan holiday. All right. Sleep, those lowly slices of death. How I wrote the Edgar Allan Poe, 1849. And it is almost October. Oh my gosh, it's the end of September already. Oh my gosh, it's going to be Halloween month next month. My favorite month where I decorate my house and have the biggest fun. Oh wow. Ghosts were created when the first man awoke at night. J.M. Barrie, 1860 to 1937. Do you not know the terror of who falls asleep? To the very toes, his terrifies, because the ground gives way under him, and the dream begins. Friedrich Nietzsche, 1844 to 1900. Now the Bible verse I picked for this Halloween one was Job. Yeah, one of my favorite books in the Bible, Job. I read it. Actually read the entire book twice this year, which is one of my favorite books. 4:13 to 15. Job 13 to 15. In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep falleth on men, fear come upon me, and trembling which made all my bones to shake. Then a spirit passed before me. My face, the hair of my flesh stood up. I'll go on to 16. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before my eyes, a voice saying, shall mortal men be more than just than God? Shall man be more pure than his maker? Think about that one though. Okay, just think about that one. Now, Easter. Wow. That one I just took from one of my printouts, okay? If you want to find all these writings, they're on my blog. So I'll give you links to all my old blogs about all these subjects. History, The pagan roots of Easter, okay? Easter, like all so-called holidays, are steeped in pagan roots. Easter is based on the pagan goddess Ishtar or Astor, the goddess of fertility and harvest. The Catholic Church made the holiday a Christian holiday, just like they did with the Christmas of the festival of Saturnalia, which I went over, to get the pagans to join the Catholic Church. Ashtar was, of course, a fertility goddess, bringing the end of winter. With the brighter and longer days after the vernal equinox, Ashtar had a passion for new life. The pagans believed that her presence was felt during these times, and they felt in the plants as they flower, the birth of babies, both animal and human, and it's felt all around you, like through the mountains and the trees. The rabbit was a sacred animal. So as you know, the Easter Bunny is the symbol of Easter. The day of procreation and harvest, Easter Bunny, but rabbits procreate a lot. Of course, the history of celebrating the egg, decorating the egg, is also Easter, from the pagan roots. The egg is the fertility at birth, the symbol of new life. The Christians, since the formation of the Catholic Church, those modern Christians believe that the egg symbolizes the resurrection of Jesus, the new life He gave to them. So that's what they did. But it's not truly a Christian tradition. It really has nothing to do with Christian tradition. However, the church made it a Christian tradition when they said, well, Easter is going to be the day that Jesus arose from the dead. That day is going to be Easter in our tradition. And I'll go more on that later on. Actually, I might read some of that. I'm going to read the Bible verse, though, about the only holiday. Now we're going to talk about this. The only holiday that is Christian, and the only holiday that is celebrated in the Bible. None of these holidays I mentioned are celebrated in the Bible. Only one. And it's not Easter, even though people think it is. It's Passover. It's Passover. Exodus 12, 21 to 28. All right. Typical with me doing videos, camera cut off, so I'm doing a read of Exodus 12, 21, 28. Exodus 12, 21, 28. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel, and said unto them, take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in blood, that is, in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you should go out of the door of his house until the morning. So basically mark on the doors with the blood. For the Lord Jehovah, says Jehovah in my Bible, but I translate it, I go the Lord, because that's the way the King James Bible was rewritten, taking the word Jehovah out and putting the Lord in all caps. Okay. For Jehovah will pass to smite the Egyptians. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, Jehovah will pass over the door and you will not suffer the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. And you shall observe this thing for ordinance to thy sons forever. So observe this holiday, Passover, Pascha, forever. Right? It shall come to pass when you come to the land which the Lord will give you according to He has promised, okay, that you should keep His service. You should come, and it shall come to pass when your children shall see unto you what ye be this service, that you shall say, it is the sacrifice of Jehovah's Passover, who passed over the houses of children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses, and the people bowed their head and worshipped. Passover, not Easter. Passover is the only holiday in the Bible. Not Christmas. Definitely not Halloween. Not Thanksgiving, even though Thanksgiving I don't really think is a pagan holiday, because that's what we celebrated here when the first people migrated here, and with the Winnipeg Indians, and we had that feast. I would do a Thanksgiving one later on as well. The history of Thanksgiving, and alright, so that's that one. And then the other one is Numbers 9:14. And this one I actually used as my Bible verse of the day today. And if a stranger shall sojourn among you, and will keep the Passover unto Jehovah the Lord, according to the ordinance of the Passover, and according to the manner thereof, so shall he do. You shall have one ordinance, both for the stranger and for him that was born in this land. So, when the stranger comes upon you, it's Passover. And what's been hospitality? Inviting a stranger in your home. And then stranger Passover. To me, it's a very important Bible verse, because look at the way strangers are being treated by Holman, and the evil corruption of the Trump regime. And he calls himself a Christian. He doesn't even know any Bible teachings. Trump is not Christian. In fact, that is my next truth talk. My next truth talk, actually next month. I'll talk more about Halloween, and I'll do what about Trump is not Christian, because people keep saying Trump is Christian. I know I've done stuff like that one before, but I'm going to make this one shorter than the last one I did. You know, where I talked about Trumpism in the Bible and all that stuff. This one's going to be shorter than that one. You know, because it seems like that this one needs to be done again. Because, and I'm also going to talk about the Constitution in that one. And some of the wicked, evil things that Trump is doing in that one. And that's what the next video is going to do. Be about. Because obviously people can't get it through their heads that they really think that what Trump is doing is Christianity. It's not Christian. It's the total opposite teachings of the Bible, what he does. It's the total opposite teachings of the Bible. And it's the total opposite teachings of the United States Constitution. That's all I got.